If you have ever struggled with losing weight and felt overwhelmed by all of the diet advice out there, you are not alone. One person says to cut carbs. Another says to eat more protein. And somehow intermittent fasting, keto, and calorie counting are all supposed to be the quote, best way to lose fat. It's no wonder so many people like you feel stuck, jumping from one plan to another without any real results. But what if I told you weight loss doesn't have to be confusing? There is a simple, science-backed way to do it without starving yourself or giving into gimmicks. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to set up a diet that works step by step. We will calculate your caloric needs, break down the best macros for fat loss, and I'll give you a simple plan to stick to it. No more BS, just real results. And if you're new to the channel, my name is Charles, and I'm a personal trainer who changed his own life through fitness and have helped hundreds of clients do the same by applying this exact framework. So, let's dive in. The truth is, fat loss isn't magic. It comes down to one simple rule: calories in versus calories out. To lose weight, your calorie intake has to be lower than your calorie output. You burn a certain amount of calories. If you only consume this many calories, the rest has to come from somewhere. That's how we burn fat. Now, this is called a caloric deficit. And no matter what diet you do, keto, paleo, intermittent fasting, carnivore, this is how you're actually losing body fat. But here lies the first problem that many people run into. To know how many calories you eat, you first need to know how many calories you burn. This is where most people go wrong. They either underestimate how much they eat, overestimate how much they burn, or they just pick a random calorie goal with no real reasoning behind it. And then when they don't see results that they were hoping for, they think that their metabolism is broken. So how do we fix this? We first have to calculate what's called your total daily energy expenditure. You can think about this like the total amount of calories that you burn in a day. Now, your TDEE is made up of 4 factors. First is your basal metabolic rate. You can think about this like the amount of calories that your body burns at rest. Next, you have your TEF, also known as your thermic effect of food. Okay, so this is the amount of energy that your body puts towards digestion. It takes energy to break food down. Ideally, the goal of eating food is to get more energy back than what it takes to break down. Third, we have your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, your NEAT, right? This is the amount of calories that your body burns through all general activity that's not intentional calorie burn. So think moving, fidgeting, talking, walking, anything that you're doing through general activity. And then lastly, we have your EAT. This is your exercise activity thermogenesis. This is the intentional calorie burn that you are putting towards exercise. So knowing this number is extremely important. And once you know your TDEE, you'll finally have a real data-driven starting point for your fat loss diet, which means no more guessing. So now that we know why total daily energy expenditure is important, let's get to calculating. So if you just want a quick estimate, we just need your body weight in pounds, and then we multiply it by a number based on your activity level. So if you are sedentary, we'll multiply by 12. If we are lightly active, meaning we work out 1 to 3 times a week, we're going to multiply it by 14. If we are moderately active, meaning we are working out 3 to 5 days a week, we're going to multiply this number by 15. And then if we are very active, we're going to take your weight and we're going to multiply it by 17. So what this might look like for a 200-pound man is he weighs 200 pounds. And let's say he is lightly active. So he got into working out and he's exercising 2 days a week. We're going to multiply by 14 and we'll end up with 2,800 calories as the estimate for how many calories he burns. And as another example, let's say we have someone that's about 180 pounds and they're moderately active. They're exercising 4 or 5 days a week. We're going to multiply by 15 and we would get 2,700 calories. So go ahead and take your body weight right now, take your body weight, estimate how many days you're working out, and use these numbers here to estimate the amount of calories that you burn in a day. Now, if you want a more precise number, you can use more advanced equations like the Mifflin-St. Jeor equation, but the math is a lot more confusing. It takes longer to calculate. So instead, I've conveniently linked a link down below that you can click on. You just type in your height, your weight, your age, and your gender, and it automatically calculates it for you. So we finally know how many calories you burn. But how much weight are we going to lose, and how fast are we going to lose it? What is a safe pace to lose weight, and what is too extreme or too fast? Well, this is where most people make mistakes. They either try to lose weight way too fast and they burn out, or they go too slow and they get really frustrated, and then they give up altogether. The key here is balance, and the rate is going to be different based on what your starting weight is. So instead of guessing, I'm going to show you a few methods of how to use percentages to determine the right pace for you. Here's how the rates break down. For most people, losing 0.5% of their body weight per week is extremely sustainable and very easy. Most people at 0.5% per week honestly wouldn't even get very hungry, and the diet would seem like it's just occurring in the background and it doesn't take a lot of forethought or effort. Next, we have the 1% rate. This is a moderately difficult diet. You're going to notice when you're losing 1% of your body weight per week. It's not sustainable over a year or honestly even maybe 6 months. But if you only have about 10% of your body weight to lose, 1% should be very doable for most people. And then the last rate we have is 1.5% per week. This is getting into crash dieting territory, right? If you're wanting to diet for 4 to 6 weeks before a big vacation or before a wedding or a show, this is doable for a good chunk of people, but it takes a very deliberate diet. It takes a lot of effort and focus and pretty much no screw ups. This is going to be very, very hard to maintain. So in our two examples before, let's take a 200-pound person and let's take a 180-pound person and kind of break down what these numbers might look like. So for a 200-pound person, 0.5% per week would be 1 pound, 1% per week would be 2 pounds, and then 1.5% per week would be 3 pounds. Let's use a slightly different number for the second person, just so it's a little bit more extreme as far as the numbers go. So let's say we have a 140-pound person. If they're losing 0.5% per week, that'd be 0.7 pounds per week. If they're losing 1% per week, that'd be 1.4 pounds per week. And then if they're losing 1.5% per week, they're losing 2.1 pounds per week. Now, again, these rates are just guidelines to go off of. For most people, this is how I break down the situation. If you are looking to lose weight long-term, you have a lot of weight to lose, I would stick to 0.5% a week so you can sustain that over a long period of time. If you have 5 to 10% of your body weight to lose, 1% per week should be very doable. It's going to take some consistency and some effort and attention, but you should be able to do it. And then if you are looking to get ready for an event and you only have 4 to 8 weeks, 1.5% a week could get you there. I'm just going to caution that it's extremely hard to maintain and the chances of rebounding are very, very high. So now that you know how many pounds you want to lose per week, let's take that and convert that into calories per day so you know what your deficit looks like. So as a basic rule, there are 3,500 calories in 1 pound fat. So that means if you're trying to lose 1 pound a week, in a whole week, you'll have to consume 3,500 calories less than what you burned. What that breaks down to in a day, because there's 7 days in a week, this would equal 500 calories per day that you need to eat less than what you burn in order to lose 1 pound of fat. So let's take our numbers here and kind of estimate what that looks like for a deficit. So back to that 200-pound person, if they're trying to lose 1 pound every week, they're going to have to eat 500 less calories per day. If they're trying to lose 2 pounds, they're going to have to eat 1,000 less per day. And if they're going to lose 3 pounds a week, they're going to have to eat 1,500 calories less than what they burn every single day to lose 3 pounds a week. So for the 140-pound person, if they are trying to lose 0.7 pounds per week, they're going to eat in a 350 calorie deficit every day. If they're trying to lose 1.4 pounds per week, they're going to have to eat in a 700 calorie deficit every day. If they're trying to lose 2.1 pounds a week, they're going to have to eat in a 1,050 calorie deficit every day. Now remember, this isn't how many calories you're going to consume every day. This is how many calories less than what you burn you're going to consume every day. So let's now convert that into your daily intake so that we know how many calories we need to be eating. So for this, I'm just going to use one of the examples of someone looking to lose 2 pounds per week. At 2 pounds per week, we need to consume 1,000 calories less than what we burn. So for that 200-pound individual that we referred to earlier, that's burning 2,800 calories. So this is burned. We subtract the 1,000. This is the deficit, which means we're going to end up with 1,800 calories that we need to consume. That's the diet that the person's actually going to be on. So if you're this 200-pound individual and you're trying to lose 2 pounds a week, you're going to need to be eating about 1,800 calories per day. Now, before we move on to macros, make sure you go through all of this math and figure out how many calories you need to be consuming every single day to lose weight and stay on track towards your goals. This is, without a doubt, the most important part of dieting. We have to be absolutely perfect with our calories. But now that you know your calories, let's start working on your macros. This is going to be the difference between just losing weight and actually targeting body fat. So how are we going to do this, and what does this look like? I'm going to stick with the same 200-pound individual just for consistency's sake. So we're going to take that 200-pound individual. They are eating 1,800 calories. So we already have a good chunk of their diet planned out. Next, we need to calculate how much protein they want to consume in a day. This is the most important macro for us to focus on in a fat loss diet. To make this simple, there are a couple ways that you can go about it. You should be consuming between 0.7 grams and 1 gram per pound of lean body mass. So if you're already fairly lean, you could just take your body weight, multiply it by 0.7, and you should end up with a really good goal for your protein. Another way to do this, though, is to just, if you're not already lean and you have quite a bit of weight to lose, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on our goal weight. So if this 200-pound individual wants to get down to 160 pounds, I want them to eat 1 gram of protein per their ideal body weight. So 200 pounds, a 200-pound person, if they want to get to 160, we're going to focus on 160 grams of protein. So remember, that is 1 gram per pound of goal weight. If this person is already fairly lean, they can instead focus on 0.7 grams per pound of body weight. I recommend that you just calculate both of these numbers and you take whichever one's highest. The thing is that more protein is not necessarily going to be bad. It's just going to help us and aid a little more in preserving muscle mass. But also what it's going to do is it's going to reduce our hunger. It's really hard to overeat when you're consuming a really high protein diet. Okay, and next what we're going to do is we're going to calculate the minimum amount of fat that you need to eat on a diet. This is just to maintain hormone health and function. So for minimum amount of fat, let's label this protein. Let's label this fat. We need to be eating at least 0.3 to 0.4 grams of fat per pound of body weight. So what this might look like for this 200-pound individual is 60 grams of fat is going to be their minimum daily fat intake. Now they can eat more than that. That's absolutely fine. But we want them to be at least eating 60 grams just to maintain hormone health, proper function, and just feeling good throughout this diet. So that's it. Now, if you notice, I didn't mention anything about carbs. So, and you'll also notice that 160 grams of protein and 60 grams of fat, that's not going to get us to the 1,800 calories, right? So where do all the other calories come from? All the other calories come from some balance of fat and carbs. You can do really well on a fat loss diet by eating a really high fat diet. You can do really well, and I know this is going to be controversial for a lot of people, you can do really well at losing body fat on a high carb diet. The main things that we need for our goal and our success is the minimum amount of protein and the minimum amount of fat. All of your other calories can just come from some mix of fat and carbs. Some people prefer higher fat diets and they feel better on higher fat diets. Other people prefer higher carb diets and they feel really good on high carb diets. I highly recommend at this point, don't listen to any gurus. Don't listen to any guides in the space. Just focus on trying to find a diet that makes you feel good after you've at least met your protein and your fat goals. Outside of that, just try to find foods that actually make you feel good. All right, so we've covered everything. Macros, calories, protein, fat, carbs, all of it. But here's the truth. None of that matters if you can't stick to your diet. Okay, dietary adherence is the #1 principle for long-term success. The most important thing for making progress isn't meal timing. It's not whether your food is organic or non-GMO. And it's definitely not how clean your diet is. The only thing that matters is, can you follow your plan consistently? A lot of people get caught up in the things that just don't really move the needle. So let's go ahead and clear up a few myths right now. Meal timing doesn't matter. Your total daily intake does. Organic versus not organic, irrelevant for fat loss. Calories matter. Keto versus high carb, both work. Just pick whichever one fits your lifestyle. If you keep focusing on these small details but can't stick to your calories and macros, it doesn't matter. You're not going to see results. So how do we make this work long term? We build a diet around the foods that we enjoy. Do you like rice and bread? Keep your carbs higher. Do you like fattier foods? Keep your fats higher. Do you hate meal prepping? Find quick, easy options that work for your diet instead. The more you enjoy your diet, the less it's going to feel like a diet, and the easier it will be for you to stay consistent in the long term. So here are 3 tips that will massively improve your dietary adherence. So #1 is build your meals around protein. Protein keeps you fuller for longer. #2 is don't eliminate foods that you love. Incorporate them. Find ways to make them work for your diet. Eliminating them altogether will probably lead to binging. And #3 is plan your day ahead of time. This is the biggest tip that I see work for most of my clients. If you just pre-log all your food at the beginning of the day, the odds that you're actually going to stick to your diet drastically improve. At the end of the day, fat loss isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent. The people that succeed at fat loss aren't the ones that are perfect every single day and don't make any mistakes. They're the people that stick to their diet for months, not weeks or days. If you apply everything that we covered today, I promise you, you will get results. Just keep showing up and trust the process. Now that you have a no BS diet plan, the next step is to take action. If this video helped you, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe, and then click on this video here or here to learn more about fitness and nutrition.